The city of Vancouver is no stranger to hosting global events, having hosted the 2010 Winter Olympics and the 2015 Women's World Cup, and now they welcome the world again. And for the first time, the Canadian men will be playing a World Cup game in the city as we welcome you to Bet365 for the win right here on One Soccer. A beautiful home for a beautiful game. I'm your host, Annie Petrillo, and we have a cast of characters who are going to be joining us on the show today. Coming up in a little bit, Arash Madani. We'll talk a little bit more about Canada's next match against Qatar. We'll also talk the legend, Lionel Messi, and his opening game and that hat trick. Oliver Platt will join us from Toronto Stadium. He took in the Ghana-Panama game live. We'll get his thoughts. And shortly, Christian Jack will be joining us. Of course, he is following the Canadian men's national team. He'll bring us the latest from training as well as we are on the eve of Canada's second game. And in studio, yes, Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson, joining me live. And you know who's also going to possibly be joining the team tomorrow on the pitch? Well, that could be the captain, Alphonso Davies. Jesse Marsch saying he's available. That doesn't necessarily mean he starts, Wheels, but he's available. What make you of that?
Pleasantly surprised by this news. I think that a lot of people, including myself, were it was suggested strongly to us that it would be very unlikely for Alphonso Davies to play during the group stage. And the fact that it looks like he's a little bit of ahead of schedule, I should say, is a really good thing. You're right. We're not sure if he's going to play. I'm not sure what the will he or won't he during the week was all about, because Jesse really didn't make a big deal about it during the press conference. Just a short answer, yeah, he will be available. But this is the approach that they should have taken from the outset. Be deliberate. You don't have to be definitive, because saying a player's available doesn't mean that he's not going to see the field at all. I'm going to be honest with you, I'll be surprised if he plays tomorrow. Against Qatar, you're a significant favorite. This is a team that you should beat. It's not just about playing Alphonso Davies, it's about how he reacts. The issue is being 3 consecutive injuries, basically, in a short period of time, that makes this a recurring issue. And that's where the concern is. I think that I prefer to see Davies a little bit later on when the games start to get a little bit bigger and you're playing better opponents. But this has to be seen as good news for Canada.
Yeah, it has to be seen as good news. A week ago, we weren't even thinking about this, and then now potentially he's going to be in a tracksuit doing a couple warm-ups, doing a little juggling that we saw there. Of course, those are great, that's great news, and it's going to be great vibes for Canada. But I also think, Wheels, Andy, what would another week do? We shouldn't have to use him yet. Go take care of business. If you're Ali Ahmed, if you're Buchanan, if you're those flank players, go handle your business tomorrow against Qatar, and you get Alphonso Davies getting another week of training, another week of those massages, those deep tissues, making sure that hamstring's good. So maybe Switzerland, that's the 20 minutes, or maybe you guys top the group, round of 32, you're playing in Vancouver, his home stadium that he grew up in, right? So I think the team needs to maybe do him a favor and just keep him in that tracksuit nice and cozy and take care of business tomorrow.
I do like how he's going to be on the bench. I felt for him in Toronto, just seeing him kind of like off to the side. Like the fact that your captain, your best player, is going to be wearing the kit, going to be part of the warm-ups, going to be part of the setup. It's going to feel more comfortable, I think, with him around. So I'm thrilled for him that he gets to be part of that experience and progress. This is a real good thing for this team.
All right, well, from Vancouver, let's bring in Christian Jack now. And obviously, KJ, you've been following this team, and you've been seeing Alphonso Davies go from these different levels of training, and now with Jesse Marsch saying he's available. Just what have you made of the way he's been training and to get to this point to get himself ready?
Absolutely not surprised at all at Jesse Marsch's announcement that he is available to play. He later went on to say in his press conference that we do not want to put any of our players at risk. And when asked and used the word, is things situational, he nodded his head, didn't directly answer that particular part of that question in the press conference. But it's what we talked about a little bit yesterday. You know, look, ultimately this is Canada's massive game in this group because they've got to win the game. And you know, this is an opportunity that if you need Alphonso Davies, you can put him on the bench no matter what. You don't have to name a certain number of substitutions. You don't have to declare whether he can play from the start. I expect him to obviously be on the bench and it to be that name, that word, situational. And ultimately, if you are up against Qatar, you're leading and you're comfortably ahead, then why would you need him? But ultimately, he is a massive weapon to have off the bench if, you start to press the, the danger button and you need to have a little bit of a panic button there in the second half if you needed a difference maker. So no surprise to me, hasn't had that much training, certainly from a physical contact point of view with his teammates for what we've watched as well. So I don't expect to see much of Alphonso Davies, if at all. And if we do see him, maybe that's not necessarily a good thing for Canada in their situation against Qatar here on Thursday.
I was wondering that too. I feel like it depends on how that game's going to go against Qatar. And if you do see him, maybe that means Canada really needs him, and that may not necessarily be a good thing. But what could help Canada, of course, is if they establish a lead, a comfortable lead. And again, somebody who does that and can score goals, at least is expected to, is Jonathan David. He leads the Canadian men's national team with 39 goals. He leads that program. But of course, KJ, the big talk has been the fact that he was taken out of the game in the 61st minute. That's been the story all week, right?
It has. It's been the story for a lot of reasons, because this is what you talk about around big players. The big players have high expectations, and we've already seen a lot of big players develop and star at the World Cup already. We can go through the long list of Kylian Mbappe to Erling Haaland to Lionel Messi and Harry Kane. Ultimately, the big players have big expectations to need to step up. I thought that Jesse Marsch was quite measured and fair when asked about that. He didn't necessarily criticize the fact that the attention is on him. He drew attention to the fact that he did withdraw him quite early, and he's not done that very often at this World Cup as well. And I also thought later in the press conference, and this wasn't what the clips were going to show you, was when he talked about it being a different opponent, they're going to need more combination play around the box. And I think that was more of a nod towards seeing Kyle Larin in the starting 11, a player that Jonathan David likes to play with. But yeah, here's what Jesse Marsch had to say when I asked him about Canada needing to do more to help Jonathan David. After all, Jonathan David has done a lot in the past to help Canada.
There was some questions after the game on taking Jonathan out. There haven't been many times that I've taken him out of games, and it's mostly because he's such an important player for us and a catalyst for everything we do in the attacking part of the pitch. There can be moments where a player has an off day and it doesn't really come quite together for him. But our belief in Jonathan as a player and who he is and what he means to our team is massive. And then, we're trying to do little things to get him more around the goal, to get him more looks. Yeah, look, the dude Jonathan has scored a heck of a lot of goals, right? So I know that there's been some criticism of him in whether it's in Italy for Juventus and all this, but for me, he still had a good year there. And he still scores goals for us and sets up plays. And I think he leads the team in goals and assists since I've been here, right? And probably minutes and dangerous and XG and every attacking category out there. So, of course, in the biggest games, we want him to score. And he will. And he has. And he won't stop. So he's still young. At the end of his career, he's going to have, 60, 70 goals for the Canadian national team. He's not done scoring, people, okay? So get ready. Just put your seatbelts on and get ready.
As you'd expect, Jesse Marsch completely backing his striker, Jonathan David. But I think the more important thing is how do they help him around him, and some of the things that he got into there, particularly making sure that they've worked on that combination play around the box and getting Jonathan David help. I think we all expect maybe Jonathan David will get his moment here, but it's clear that it's been a story. 39 goals and 78 caps, as we said. But more importantly, the Kyle Larin factor comes into this. And remember my interview that I did with him, guys, not that long ago in the March window, when they were both said how much they like playing with each other. As I said earlier, they've got 25 goals between them in 35 starts. And there's also been some talk around here about the Sweden plan with Gyökeres and Isak and how they got the best out of each other in a double striker formation, although it was a back three in that game to get the best out of them. So potentially will we see Canada in possession with a back three and maybe having Buchanan on the right, bringing Larea on the left, and maybe bringing Ali Ahmed on there as well to do that. So into the midfield for Larea. So keep an eye on that as well, where we may see them play with a back three in possession. I don't know what you think about that, Jordan.
How I really feel about it, I feel like if you're going to go and play a back three going against Qatar, I don't really love that. I also think when you look at the past match with Jonathan David, why he got taken out, it's because there's no space. It's going to be way more condensed tomorrow against Qatar as well. The way that they play, the way that they're so focused on that middle and making sure that teams can't go and penetrate. So again, that could be a tough situation for Jonathan David Wheels. When I look at it, not having space and not being able to be fluid and free around the box, that has been Jonathan David's demise. Like when he's able to be free flowing and get shots on goal, that's when he comes to life. But in the system, he doesn't really do that, right? And when I think about it, I think the biggest thing tomorrow is I want to see Kone in more of a progressive role. They don't have an answer for him, Qatar, the way that he can drive forward and dribble, but he needs to be the guy supplying, whether it be Laren or Jonathan David, some service. But again, I think tomorrow the real test will be how Canada does well on the flanks, but how quickly they can get balls in between certain spaces. And it's going to be condensed tomorrow. It's going to be really difficult for Jonathan David to try to go and thrive in that number 10 role.
What hasn't come out is a proper explanation of what's going on. What's wrong with Jonathan David right now? I mean, I think we were early on it, speaking in the previous, well, in the first window of 2026, about how he wasn't getting enough touches on the ball. And we've documented how far he drops deep and how I see him defending in his own end more times than not. Like, he's not Harry Kane. He plays a very different way. And, you know, Gyökeres, and he said, that's $200 million worth of strikers. Like, yeah. David and Kyle Laren are not that. But we have seen a better version than this. Kyle Laren's really struggled under Jesse Marsch. Now Jonathan David's fallen into the same trap. Is it system? Is it just a player that's out of form? Jesse said that he had a good season at Juventus. Didn't finish the season very well at all. Last 15 games or so, really struggled. Started off the season, I think there were some real highlights. Is he out of form? Is he out of fitness?
Yeah.
Like, he looked a little bit heavy to me when he was playing, a heavy touch. Look, I'm just trying to pinpoint what the issue is here. Because if it's system-based, then this team hasn't shown that they're able to use Jonathan David in recent games when they play better competitions, when teams have sat back a little bit more. You're playing Colombia, Ecuador, Australia, Tunisia, better defensive teams than the ones that they played before. Have the opponents just adjusted and Canada haven't adjusted their system, or is it a player out of form? Which one is it?
Tomorrow's such a massive moment for this program, but I just wonder why you see different teams. I'm looking at England, the way that they played today with a 4-2-3-1. Why Jesse Marsch is married to this 4-4-2, and why can't you figure out a way to maybe put Jonathan David in a position where he thrives, which is as a lone striker? Why couldn't you put an extra midfielder and put Saliba in there with Eustachio and play Kone high? No, but we're saying that because Jesse Marsch has said that, but I don't understand why that can't be a situation. You could still go against Switzerland and play with two up top, but tomorrow when everyone's thinking, how is Canada going to score? How do you get the best out of Jonathan David? And the answer that everyone would say is play him in his proper position. Why couldn't you do that? Like, that's where I'm like, I get that you want to play a certain way, and Jesse Marsch has been adamant, oh, I want to see Jonathan David at the 10, but does he look joyous? Does he look like his best self? Why couldn't you just put him in a position where he can go and thrive? That's a question that I want to answer. If Jesse Marsch could tell me that Jonathan David is way better at the 10 than he is at the 9, then cool. But that's not the case. That's not what we've seen, and that's not the Jonathan David that we saw against Bosnia-Herzegovina.
He's the most important player on the field tomorrow.
Like, you got to put him in the right spot.
He's the most important player on the field.
Put him in the right spot.
Switzerland let them hang around. Like, Canada needs to be clinical, and they need their most creative player and their best attacking player in Jonathan David to lead the way.
Well, we always knew, and we actually said this after that draw against Bosnia and Herzegovina, that this was going to be a pretty big game for Canada. Then, of course, Qatar go and get that point against Switzerland, and it feels pretty unanimous that a lot of people are saying this is a must-win game for Canada. And that is exactly what Jesse Marsch was asked earlier tonight. Just how big is this match? Is it the biggest ever for the Canadians?
Look, I appreciate that everyone in the media understands the gravity of this home World Cup. If I were to think of my time here and the history that I know about this program, I'd think the women's gold medal game and the winning that at the Olympics, I think was a huge moment. I think our semifinal match at Copa America, I think the matches and experiences that they had in Qatar. So, look, we know that given our group being so tight right now, that every moment and every point matters. And we're focused on that. We're not trying to be overly magnanimous. We're just focused on the match and about Qatar and what they're good at and what we want to try to limit from them and how we want the game to look.
Christian, you know, it's hard to begrudge a coach who's trying to keep things level-headed, you know, with his team heading into a pretty big match. But that's our job. We get to talk about it. So how are you feeling about this match tomorrow for Canada?
Well, it is undoubtedly the biggest game in the history of this men's program. And I understand maybe why Jesse Marsch doesn't want to go there. In a press conference where he later said, you know, a lot of other coaches just kind of bite their tongue and don't say what they think. I just say what I think. I don't think he said what he thought there. I thought it was a realistically quite a measured response for a reason. Because he also said in the press conference that last week, and he admitted, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was a little bit crazier than it has been here. He said it's a lot calmer here, that last week there was a lot more demands on the team around the media and a lot more attention around the team. And he had to calm them down at halftime and remind them why they're here. And he hasn't felt like he needed to do that here. So then on the eve of the biggest game this team has ever played, why would he go out there and name it that? I don't think he wants to do that at that moment as he's trying to protect the pressure on his players. I've seen it all week. That's why we haven't got to speak to him. That's why we've barely got to speak to many of the players and make them available. They don't want to make stories. They don't want to create noise. And it's up to us to do that. You know, this is a manager that criticized the media for their reaction last week about Ismail Koney getting sick and the media taking advantage of that to talk about it. That is a good thing if we're trying to turn the sport the way that it needs to go. You know, if a major hockey player who plays for the Leafs sneezes and misses a moaning skate, then people are going to talk about that and make it a headline. So we're going to do the same in a World Cup at home. And that's what it is. Let's remind people, it's a World Cup at home, and they are a seeded team playing a four-pot team. This is what they are. Qatar were not a fourth-pot team. I know it was Bosnia, but they are effectively in the rankings a fourth-pot team. In the history of the FIFA Men's World Cup, host teams get through unless you're named South Africa or Qatar. Canada were classed that in 2018 when they were given as a host nation because they were a laughingstock ranked 80th in the world and they played one game in 11 months in front of 75 people in Spain. This is very, very different. This is 8 years on and expectations have risen quite rightly. People expect them to go out there and win. And yes, it is the biggest game. So it is on us to talk it up. And if Jesse Marsch doesn't want to do that, the expectations need to be there for them to go win. And hopefully we're talking about them getting to 4 points tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, KJ. Also, do you know who doesn't have to hear about running through a wall and rah, rah, rah right now? The players. No one questions their commitment on the field. It's the attention to details that are going to be important. This team focusing on the task at hand. I don't think you need to be the Kool-Aid man coming through the wall going into this game. I just don't think that's a way forward. This is a first for Canada at a World Cup, that they've been this significant of a favorite to go out and win a game. They were the favorite for the first time in World Cup participation against Bosnia, but I still think that we were in the assessment stage with so many injuries and what was going to happen, home World Cup. But now we kind of know a little bit more. They've got their toes wet, and now they're expected to go out and win. The only way that, you know, this actually turns out to be the most consequential game in men's Canadian football history is if they lose. Like, it would be a catastrophe if they went out and lost this game based upon, KJ said it, the expectations of what this team should be doing right now. They're -3. And Qatar to win this game is plus 1,000, Jordan. Like, they're significant favorites. So it's no excuses. Attention to detail, go and just win the game.
I agree with you, Wheels. Jesse Marsch answered the question as managers answer the question, as footballers were trained to do as well. Never get too high, never get too low. After a win, you can maybe celebrate for the night. Next day at training, you laugh about certain moments. But again, you try to stay in the middle. So I get why you answered that question. However, that's not the truth. This is the biggest game. We know that. The vibes in the country, everyone knows that. The fact that this game is sandwiched in the middle. So if you go out and win and now you have 4 points, no matter what happens with Switzerland or Bosnia, Canada are that much closer to being in the promised land, to doing something that they've never done, obviously getting the 3 points, but being in a knockout stage and sitting well and sitting pretty in that stage as well. So I get it. Like, if you're going to go as a manager, you don't want your group to think about the outside noise and what it is. But the fact remains, when that whistle blows tomorrow, this is the biggest moment. And I hope that the players, even if they don't score in the first 15, 20 minutes, they just are even keeled. They consistently dig and dig and dig. Because it doesn't matter if it's 3-2 for me. Get the win, get the 3 points, and live on.
The positive that I would look at this is, and Switzerland, they were in complete shock. A lot of the, word and stories coming out of camp with that draw was they were just in shock that they didn't get the full 3 points. So if you are now Canada, that's a blessing to be like, look at what they were able to do at Switzerland. This was always going to be a big game. Now we know for sure, not that you ever do take an opponent for granted, but it's just a little extra fire under the tushies, as we say. But KJ, I'm going to leave the last word to you here as we put a bow on this segment.
Yeah, just a couple of final notes from the press conferences. Julian Lopetegui, who met with the media about 2 or 3 hours before that, was very, very positive about Canada. He basically came out and said they were overwhelming favorites for a reason, playing at home, and they've got a lot of players playing in a lot major leagues that his team do not have. So very much of a praise for Canada. And the other thing just about Vancouver, a welcoming city for them, both for Qatar and this team. And Jesse Marsch said, he talked again about a red out, making sure that the team, being Qatar, can not only feel the pressure from the 11 players that are playing tomorrow in black, but also from the amount of people in the crowd. So he's obviously expecting a massive advantage for the crowd to take him there as well. So we're on the eve of something special, guys. Hopefully we're recapping a great victory tomorrow.
Exactly. That's when we'll speak to you. Christian Jack out in Vancouver. He'll be taking in that game, and check in with the show Bet365 for the win after that. That's what you continue to watch right now. And after the break, Arash Madani joins the show to give his thoughts on Canada's next match. Kyle Larin stepping up, and Lionel Messi still doing GOAT things.
For the Win on One Soccer is presented by Bet365.
We were there for your first game together. The day you taught him the rules and the answer for every question. We've been there for the good times and a few moments we don't talk about. And now,
who won the most Canadian Classics?
it's a passion you can share. And we're just happy we could be there. 20 years, and we're still growing together.
In Canada, our future stars don't simply show up on the world stage. They are built from the ground up, right here in the heart of our communities.
Oh, lovely through ball there, Isaiah Johnson! Goal for Halifax!
From a childhood dream to the national team.
Jacob Schaffelberg! Yes! He's done it! Canada on top of the footballing world!
We are Canada, driven by Volkswagen.
Canada are really pressing here. Oh, what a move! That is a quality ball! Now the run into the box!
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Samsung.
And now all of a sudden, the pressure is fully on Canada. Who would have thought this? That coming into the second match, Qatar may be a concern? That the former hosts would have an equal number of points as everyone else in Group B? That Thursday's match is not necessarily a foregone conclusion. And how will Canada now deal with being in this uncommon position? That they must deliver, or then where will that leave them? So the team that has been looking for life from its star striker needs him now more than ever. The set pieces that had been hopeless require actual purpose. And the captain will have to contribute more than just a locker room pump-up speech, even if Davies isn't at full fitness. So who wants him? Who wearing that Canadian jersey is going to go get him? Because look around this World Cup. Nothing can be taken for granted. Cabo Verde has a population a third the size of Calgary, and they just took a global power to the limit. This Canadian group has yet to encounter a win-or-else situation. Until now. At home, bullseye squarely on the Maple Leaf. And as the minutes tick towards Thursday under the roof in Vancouver, we wonder, can the national team answer with actual resolve? The stakes truly have never been bigger than this one against Qatar.
Well, welcome to tournament football, where already game 2 in a group stage match becomes a must-win as we welcome in Arash Madani, who just put together that beautiful piece. And, I mean, you said it in that. It's a big game for Canada here against Qatar. Why else do you feel like it's so huge?
Oh, just everything, Andy, that's on the line. I mean, you just think about all the different ways Group B could shake itself out. Canada's never been in a better spot than this. In the driver's seat, Switzerland is without the 3 points, and now they get Qatar. I mean, look, think about how different the tenor of the last 4 or 5 days would have been if there were only 4 minutes of injury time added at the end of that Qatar-Switzerland match. Think about how different the tenor of the conversation would have been if Switzerland had converted on one of, I don't know, 6 or 7 quality chances in the first half against Qatar. They should have ran them out of the gym. But instead, here we are, and the ghosts of national team past continue to kind of hover around this entire thing. And that's why kind of in that piece, Andy, I was talking about who wants it? Who wants to go get it? Who wants, in the biggest spot, in the biggest moment in the history of this men's national team, who's the one who's going to leave it all out there, perform, deliver, etc.? It's right there for the taking against a far inferior opponent, no matter what Jesse Marsch said tonight.
And even when you bring up the minutes, you're right. I mean, we just need to get used to this between hydration breaks and the substitutions.
Yeah.
Everything. These games go longer than they used to. 90+5 is when Qatar scored against Switzerland. Tonight, we saw another 90+5 with Ghana and Panama. So there's a lot of game that you got to play right until the very end. You had a chance to spend some time with Cyle Larin before even that first game against Bosnia-Herzegovina. Everyone's shocked when he didn't get the start, but he comes in as a sub. Couple minutes later, gets that goal that was so crucial to earn the point. How much pressure do you think is on him, given that even post-game, he basically came out, the celebration was with the fingers in the ears and acknowledging that there's been a lot of chatter. He knows he's the guy. He knows he can score. How much of that pressure is on him now to continue to do that?
I don't know if the pressure's on him, Andy. I just think right now there's a fire that's been lit under Cyle Larin, and he absolutely wants to go get it. I mean, think about where he is in his career. He's 31 years old and effectively was told, hey, you got to go and perform with your club team and show that you belong here. And so he goes on loan to Southampton, and all he did there was exactly that. All he did was deliver, and then he comes back, and I get it. A couple of prep matches, friendlies didn't really go their way with him and Jonathan David together, but everything that was asked of Cyle Larin, he absolutely delivered coming into this World Cup. And then that's the way things shake down? There's an old wrestling term for this, Andy. It's called the double cross. It almost felt like Larin was double crossed by the coaching staff. And then that fire that in the first couple of minutes, he comes out and scores that goal. Can that continue either out of the gate? And I think it'd be absurd if they don't start him, or off the bench. We'll see. But this is as hungry a Cyle Larin as we've ever seen in his career.
See, you said lit a flame under. I said tush earlier. These guys are making fun of me. I just didn't want to use another word, but it's very common. This is something that we use. A fire has been lit under Cyle Larin. The fire never really went out of a guy named Lionel Messi. So Argentina plays. He doesn't score 1, 2. He gets the hat trick. He ties the World Cup scoring record as well. And it's crazy because, you know, Arash, Haaland, Mbappe, they're doing what we kind of expected them to do. This is their World Cup to shine. Lionel Messi should be like in a rocking chair, smoking a pipe. I mean, in the sports world, he's old. And this guy's going out scoring hat tricks. And all the sports that you have covered, all these big events that you've been at, how wild was that first game?
Well, I think, Andy, at this point, Lionel Messi is no longer being compared to any of his peers or any of his contemporaries. It was cemented his legacy when Argentina won the World Cup 4 years ago, and now to open this one in this fashion was the final brushstroke, the exclamation point, all of those things. And you think about who you can really compare Messi with. Yeah, it's not an active soccer player anymore. It's not an active footballer. Like, to me, the comp is a Usain Bolt. You think about the decorated career that Bolt had in his career. You think about all the greats in their sport. You know, Michael Jordan, 6 championship rings, the way he ended his career in Chicago with a walk-off jumper to win it. Tom Brady, all those rings. This is the rarefied air that we consider Lionel Messi. And then from an individual sports standpoint, you know, Serena Williams, as decorated a player as tennis has ever had. And it was so interesting last night, Andy, listening to what Messi had to say, because he's watching the Rafa Nadal documentary miniseries on Netflix right now. And it was Messi who said, I identify with him a lot. We're very similar in the sense that I always want to give my all. There was only one speed with Rafa. It didn't matter if it was a practice or a small little tournament or a grand slam. There was only one speed. And last night, Lionel Messi reminded us, no matter the age, no matter the stage, no matter the stakes, he belongs right there with the greatest of his generation.
I don't think anyone can dispute that now. Rash Madani, great having you on the show. We'll see you throughout the tournament. We have to continue chatting Lionel Messi. I want to get your thoughts on him. And that's kind of interesting what Arash did there. It's like, does he even have any contemporaries or anyone you can compare within his own sport anymore? Do you have to start looking outside his sport to say, these are the other greats? I mean, when we have the conversation of the Mount Rushmore and who are you putting up there, right? Like, is he going to be the only footballer right now up there?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, like you look at Lionel Messi, he shouldn't be as good and he shouldn't dominate as much as he does, but he does it every single time. And like, I get it. There are other players. You're looking at Pele's, Maradona's, obviously one that's playing in there right now, CR7. These are guys that are like top notch and great at their craft.
Yeah, I'm not going to give his history because I can already see Wheels shaking his head. I'm talking about right now, in action right now.
Right now, no, there's another player in Portugal. We'll get to that in a moment, but no one can dispute that there's a guy, Lionel Messi, that is the best to ever do it, like hands down. For me, the way that he plays, the way that he's brought and changed this game, there's no one better than him.
Such disrespect to Cristiano Ronaldo.
Great player.
In fairness, the goals that he scored and the career that he's had, he's 2 or 3 years older than Lionel Messi, and obviously didn't have his best moment today. His team has regularly struggled at World Cups, and these are the questions that were surrounding Lionel Messi a short time ago, whether he would be able to take Argentina to a World Cup to put himself in a conversation with someone like Diego Maradona. Like, we go through these cycles of players. We also shouldn't forget that potentially by the end of this tournament, it's not Lionel Messi who will be the greatest goal scorer in World Cup history. It might be Kylian Mbappe. So there's always different players who are coming through, and we're a product of the latest. Still, Messi, Ronaldo, 1-2, 1A, 1B, that's fine. But now we're dealing with a Messi rule. And this is where the problem is that he is being treated like a god on the field to the point where some of the rules that apply for others don't apply to him. Lionel Messi in the 30th minute stamped down on the calf of Mena, an Algerian center back, on the replays. Yeah. Like, it was a dirty challenge. The studs were up, back in the calf, not particularly low as well. Look, I know he didn't mean to do it. And I'm personally not advocating that a foul like that would end up in a sending off, but we've seen it before. I wonder if that was another player, nondescript, an Algerian player, whether that player would have stayed on the field.
Yeah.
And then we can rewrite history a little bit because Messi gets sent off in the first game of the World Cup after scoring 1 goal and not being the oldest player in World Cup history to score a hat trick. It's just funny how these things work. And Arash in his piece was saying, well, you know, Michael Jordan and this, like, there are heroes in every sport. Like the biggest stars in the game, they get calls that other players don't get. It's just the way that it works.
Yes.
And it just doesn't sit well for football fans, and that's why there was such a backlash last night, that there is preferential treatment. It was clear last night that was what happened.
And I'm glad you brought that up because it's so true. It's across the board. It's not just a Lionel Messi thing. We see that in so many other sports of, well, that would have been a penalty against another guy, but he gets away with it because he's the superstar. I get all that. And there's so much more that we can get into. I just think it is still so amazing that somebody is able to take his team on his back and do what he did. Because you take him out of Argentina's lineup, we're probably looking at a so-so team.
Oh, I don't know. They're well coached. They're still one of the favorites, but Messi is still the biggest star in that group and the player that players on the team turn to.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. Like, they're an excellent team with or without Messi, but the way that they treat him, I don't think they are. They certainly don't have a manager.
They're an excellent. Well, a lot of people like that team, and they too divert to Cristiano Ronaldo. It just didn't go their way today. Anyways, I feel like this is just a debate we're going to have for infinity.
Love it.
This is Our House, presented by Samsung. I'm going to put your manager's cap on. You're talking about other great managers. Let's go.
Never managed before, but I know I'd be great.
Be a great manager here today.
Fantastic.
Projected starting. Wait, I'm supposed to give you the compliment. Don't give a compliment to yourself.
Okay.
You're going to be great.
Thank you.
You
Thanks,
would be
Andy.
great.
Count on you.
I might
always having my back.
I might change my mind after I see you starting 11.
Let's see if you agree. Just 2 changes to Jesse Marsch's starting 11 from the first game. Let's start at the top. I put Kyle Larin back in ahead of Taniolo O'Shea, and that's because you need to reward players for doing something special. Like the fact that Larin scored that goal in that moment in the first game, you need to feed off that, and hopefully this ends up in a good run of form for Kyle Larin. I also think the opponent requires someone that maybe has a little bit more finish inside the area than Tanny, so Kyle gets the start. And Ali Ahmed had from Liam Miller. I think Liam struggled with his distribution last game. Ali Ahmed plays Marsch ball to a T. He's a quintessential Jesse Marsch player. If he was fit in the first game, there's no doubt he would have started. The thing is, he generally only plays Ali Ahmed about 60 minutes anyway, so I don't think that it'll be a case of overexerting. I was questioning whether to take Luc de Fougerolles out, but I like the meritocracy element. Put him right back in there. Trust him even though that he's on a caution. And the center back position is rather thin beyond Luc de Fougerolles. If you take him out, you have Joel Waterman, and that's about it.
Yeah. Wheels, this is the lineup that I would do. If you think about Ali Ahmed when he came on in that match against Bosnia-Herzegovina and the fact that he was just shifting up every player and getting forward, we need that type of energy from the beginning. Jesse Marsch knows that, and that's why he probably will start him tomorrow. You think about a player 1v1. Outside of Kone, Ali Ahmed, you don't know which way he's going to go.
Yeah.
Left, right, what he's going to do. He's so shifty. And the fact that he has the vision to set up players like David and give them the confidence, give that assist, that would be great. I love as well, I think, Wheels, you're so right with Larin, because although Shea, Jesse Marsch just said it in the presser, when you have space to run in behind and play those passes, that's not what's going to happen tomorrow against Qatar. You need someone that's going to absorb pressure, bully center backs, be okay getting fouled and tugged on, and basically how Promise David and Kyle Larin played when they came on against Bosnia-Herzegovina. I love that. The question we got to talk about, or the issue we got to talk about, is in the center back or the defenders, because Alistair Johnson has a yellow card, Luc de Fougerolles has a yellow card as well. If they get a yellow card tomorrow, they're missing the match against Switzerland. So you're looking at the center back position, right? Cornelius, stay with me here, Trills. Cornelius, Luc de Fougerolles are probably the 2 best center backs right now. But in camp, you have Bombito, who's not fully healthy. Alfie Jones, who sometimes trains and gets a day off.
He's already been ruled out for tomorrow.
Not healthy. And then you have Waterman, who I like that he's played under Jesse Marsch for so long, but it doesn't seem like Jesse Marsch goes and trusts him to go and play back-to-back games and all the minutes, right? So again, that's an issue of what does Jesse Marsch do and who does he put in that center-back role. It looks like, and this is why Wheels and myself, and you look at Ralph Priso wasn't even ready to really go in and slide into that role. So, like, you maybe have to go to Atletico Ottawa before and get Noah Botnay to pop in. Like, honestly, that's how far depth. And if I wasn't eating too much oxtail as well, maybe there was a chance for Jordan Wilson to... We're like 7th on the row now for center backs. So it's a real issue and concern. So those players who play on the edge in this type of system have to be very cautious tomorrow. Because if you get a yellow... Like, you're going to have to change a lot around to really go against Switzerland.
That's why it was crazy that both Alfie Jones and Moise Bombito both made this team. When you're only naming 5 center backs. The only other player in this squad that has had any time playing center back is just because he's played all over the field for Toronto FC. It's Richie Laryea. Yeah. Is Richie Laryea like your backup left-sided center back right now? I just don't think Bombito's going to play.
It's a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jesse Marsch didn't say much about him tonight, that's for sure. You know, we've been seeing a lot of fans who have made their way to Canada for the World Cup take in some Canadian Premier League matches. Let's see if they'll take in some TELUS Canadian Championship matches as well, because leg 1 goes July 8th. You could take a look.
Noah's got a big game coming up.
Come on,
Staying in Ottawa.
Yeah, sorry, Botnay has to stay there. He's got
I'm looking out for my boy.
A lot of big games still coming up here on One Soccer. All right, we're heading to Toronto next, where Oliver Platt is outside Toronto Stadium on a rainy night, having taken in the Ghana-Panama match. We'll get his thoughts on that, as well as the other games, as all countries have finally kicked off.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by General Mills. For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Turkey Farmers of Canada.
In Canada, our future stars don't simply show up on the world stage. They are built from the ground up, right here in the heart of our communities.
Oh, lovely through ball there, Isaiah Johnson! Goal for Halifax!
From a childhood dream to the national team.
Jacob Schaffelberg! Yes! He's done it! Canada on top of the footballing world!
We are Canada, driven by Volkswagen.
And for Canada, BMO.
After 20 years of supporting the game, we're actually going to play in one. Let's go! So what do you need? Precision striker, rock solid left back?
We need a coin.
For the coin toss? Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, I get. Can I at least flip it? Heads or tails?
I'll do that. We're on TV right now.
Yeah.
Hey neighbor, meet Walmart Plus, the new membership that does delivery differently. I'm talking unlimited free same-day delivery, free shipping, and no order minimum. And it comes with a Crave subscription too. Yeah, it's like a 2-for-1. Try it free for 30 days. Walmart Plus.
For the Win on One Soccer is presented by bet365.
Welcome back to the show. A look at Toronto, Ontario. It was a rainy night, definitely rainy during Ghana-Panama. That one ending 1-0. Ghana victorious, getting a goal in the 90-plus 5th minute. Taking in that match was our very own Oliver Platt, as we welcome him to the show now. And he's got his umbrella. Still raining over there. The fans had to wait quite a while to see the only goal of this match. What else stood out in that one to you?
Yeah, a couple of things stood out, Andy. I think it was a night where you didn't see the highest quality that the World Cup has to offer. That looks to be elsewhere in this group within England and Croatia. but you saw the gravity of the results and what this means. You saw it on both sides, because I thought Panama, who played very well for long periods and had a real chance to win this game, knew that they had that opportunity to win this game and to get their first ever World Cup win, or if not, even their first ever World Cup point. And you could see that their manager, Thomas Christiansen, was pretty crushed not to have done so after the game. Carlos Queiroz on the other side, 73 years old, was dancing around the pitch at the full-time whistle. This is a massive win for Ghana, and one they desperately needed. It's been a program in turmoil for a long period of time, and also in the short term as well this week with all that's gone on with Thomas Partey. So you felt that. You also felt, I think, the World Cup making for quite a small world at times, if you'll indulge me for a second, because Brandon Thomas Asante, who came off the bench for Ghana and completely changed this game, he could have created a goal earlier than he did in the end with the last-minute winner. He's from my hometown, Milton Keynes, and he came through at my club, MK Dons, as a young player, and he's worked his way all the way up to the Premier League, with Coventry City now winning promotion last season, and now the World Cup with Ghana as well. So that was pretty special for me to see him impact a game like this.
I love that connection. That was great. What about the atmosphere? Because I think a lot of fans, if I'm not mistaken, you would have been in there, took a bit of issue with it being in a very rainy night, lots of water in the atmosphere, and they were booing during the hydration break.
Yeah, it was completely absurd, and particularly in the second half. It was just after the hour mark, we had the best period of the game by far. You know, Thomas Asante created that first chance, which looked like a sitter, until Giovanni Ramos made one of the best defensive interventions we've seen in the World Cup so far to deny a certain goal. And then Ramos charges up the other end after a penalty appeal for Ghana and shoots just wide. He's a centre-back who had got into an attacking position. So all of a sudden we have this end-to-end game, and on a chilly night in Toronto with the rain coming down, it's brought to a halt for a hydration break. So both managers were asked about it in the post-match press conferences. You can tell that neither approve. Carlos Queiroz said he hopes there is an integrity report after the tournament to see whether this was a decision for marketing and commercial reasons or for footballing reasons. I don't think we really need a report to know the answer, and I'm not sure you're going to find much integrity either.
Okay.
Integrity, big from the guy that's throwing out Milton Keynes references.
Ollie, this is great
in his
for me,
World
man.
Cup hits.
Anytime he can throw
Ask
in Milton
Yuki
Keynes.
Tsunoda what he thinks about Milton Keynes.
Love it. We can't wait to get an invite to Ollie's hometown. He keeps talking about it.
I would go.
We're waiting for the invite. All right, another game that we saw that was highly entertaining, that did produce a lot of goals, England, Croatia. I'm going to get everyone's thoughts here, but Ollie, I'll start with you. Harry Kane getting the brace there. It was an entertaining match.
Yeah, it was a really good game, and I hate to say it, and by that I mean I don't hate to say it at all, obviously. I think England are in a really good spot. I think they've got a chance here. You know, this is a team, you think back to the Euros, right, and the issue clearly was that Harry Kane wasn't fit at all, and the pieces around him didn't fit him either. When you look at players like Phil Foden, who had a terrible tournament, Thomas Tuchel's made the big calls here to leave some of those players out and to really build the entire attack and the team as a whole, I think you could say, around Harry Kane. There is no one in this squad, I think, who has been selected who doesn't complement Kane in some way. It's certainly in the attacking positions, and you can see that in a game like this. So that's a big plus for England, is that the attack just looked completely different to 2 years ago. The goals were flowing, the set pieces look extremely dangerous. They still showed, I think, some signs of being at times a bit too passive when they have leads and struggling to hold control of games. But the second half was a lot better than the first, and I think they'll look at their own performance with some areas to improve. They'll feel they can get better, but then also the performances of some of the other big sides at this tournament, and feel they're in a pretty good spot after the first round of games.
What did you make of that one?
I can't remember seeing an England team play like this.
Yeah.
Usually they're passive, they're defensive, but Thomas Tuchel was brave. He is the antithesis of Gareth Southgate. And we all know guys that are Gareth are a lot of fun, high energy. But Thomas, like Southgate was a disaster. But Tuchel, obviously a German manager, spent lots of time watching Bayern Munich play. And that's the model. Harry Kane dropping deep. He's incredible. He even blocked a shot, like inside the area, right at the death, putting the defensive work with pacey wingers going down the side. When he made the three-player, they're up a goal, and he made a three-player change and brought in 3 attacking players. That tells me this is the Tuchel way. I love the bravery. It's a different style of play. And you really forget Gary Southgate really quick about how awful he was for this team.
Yeah, well, let's talk.
Really?
Let's talk about those 3 changes a little bit more in depth. That's a moment right there where you see in years past, if you're up 3-2 in a match and you want to just seal things, you're bringing on defensive midfielders. You're saying, hey, let's lock up shop. Not with Tuchel. But Saka, Rashford, all attacking, and Saka and Rashford going combined for that 4th one as well. I love how
Rodgers
as well. And Rodgers, a player. You're seeing Bellingham for his goal as well, just getting forward in the way that he wants to go express himself and make the difference. Everyone's committed to the badge. Now I'll say this: it's the first match, but if they could be somewhere around there, meaning playing a little bit better or maybe falling off a little bit less, they'll be in contention. Like that England team that played today, they look robust defensively.
Just the back 4, Jordan, that's the only...
Yeah, yes, but like I also think that it's still good enough. Like if you can go and score, obviously it's the first game, so you're going to have to tighten up things. You can't just leak in 2 goals quickly the way that they did. But 4 goals and different goal scorers and the way that they go and attack, they were dynamic. They look really good today.
England's always fun to watch. I just hope that you're not. You're not
Usually
already
they're painful to watch.
No, I just hope you're not already singing "It's Coming Home" because it's just been one game as we take a look at Group L. So Croatia sitting at the bottom there, England right at the top based on goal differential because Ghana, of course, getting the win here today. We're going to see Croatia and Panama play at Toronto Stadium. So that is going to be a fun one, Tuesday, June 23rd, 7 p.m. ET. So get ready for everyone in the city. That's going to be the next one there, Panama, Croatia. The other game we saw today, Portugal, Congo. And Ollie, we had an earlier conversation in the show just with the way Lionel Messi started his tournament, getting the hat trick. And of course, there's just always going to be the comparison, the debate of who's better, that rivalry between Messi and Ronaldo. You have to imagine Ronaldo wanted to come out and have an incredible game. Not so much, right?
Yeah, sorry, Andy, I'm losing you a little bit in the rain here as it's coming down, but I'm going to assume if we're talking about Portugal, you're asking me about Cristiano Ronaldo. Look, I had some reservations about this Portugal team, and they're not all Ronaldo related. I think a lot's been made of the midfields with Vitinha and João Neves, obviously top players at PSG. But they play at PSG with Fabian Ruiz or Warren Zaire-Emery, very, adaptable players who put themselves at the service of the team. Now they're playing with Bruno Fernandes, who is an amazing talent. Obviously, there's no question about that, but just a very different type of player to play with. I don't know if that's going to necessarily produce the same dynamic. And then in the attacking thirds, yes, Ronaldo is obviously going to be a massive talking point, but when you also have Bernardo Silva into his 30s, how much kind of pace and punch is there really going to be in that attack? It's a question for me. It's almost in contrast to England's wheels, where you feel like you maybe don't have complementary pieces working together, and instead the best talent that's being selected by Roberto Martinez and put out there, but not necessarily a team that clicks and functions as you'd hope.
Yeah, I think they need a proper manager. Roberto Martinez is universally liked because he's a nice guy, but he has no control over that team. He's not a great tactician, and they need someone that can refine the details to get the most out of all the talent. And the substitutions in the game were just... I'm just not really sure what he was doing, Roberto.
Well, Ollie, we really appreciate you standing out in the rain for us. I kind of feel like your umbrella is also a little crooked.
Just like he's home in Milton Keynes.
We're going to let him go and get dry. Oliver Platt joining us from outside Toronto Stadium. By the way, this was put out by Zach Lowy, an editor in the industry, said Cristiano Ronaldo as fast as he once was? Maybe not. Is Ronaldo as physically dominant as he once was? No. Is Ronaldo capable of creating separation from defenders and getting into dangerous areas? Perhaps not. But is he going to finish goals and scoring opportunities? Also no. We were waiting for the punchline of yes, he will, but clearly there seems to be
gratuitous
a lot of
shots being
disappointment.
taken out. One of the greatest players of all. He's 41 now.
He's in incredible shape.
41.
I'll say this about Ronaldo. I back Portugal. I think they're actually going to make a deep run in this tournament. I get it. Look, the team that won the last World Cup as well lost to Saudi Arabia in the opening match, right? Like, they didn't look great, Argentina, opening match, but they grew into the tournament, got a lot of calls, a lot of penalties, and Lionel Messi put that ball down, put the ball in the back of the net. But the same thing can happen to Portugal. They can catch a little bit of a vibe, right? They just got to make sure that they get close enough to how they're playing their football and doing well. But I still back the squad. But what I will say about Cristiano Ronaldo, it looked today as well like he's the guy that wants it too much. right? And I think that when you have that tunnel vision as a striker, it blocks, oh, hey, this guy's actually open. Or, no, I don't need to get the ball here. I need to go back post. He wants to make the difference so bad, and sometimes when you want it that much, you just can't see anything else, and it doesn't bring your best performance to the table. So I think with him, if someone can get him to focus on the bigger picture and getting his team involved, then there'll be some productivity from CR7.
I just want to put this out, Andy. Colombia is leading Uzbekistan at the half in the other game. This is great news for people in Toronto and the Portuguese community, because second place in Group K plays a round of 32 game at Toronto Stadium.
Ooh, yeah.
And it could be against Croatia. Portugal-Croatia in Toronto would be bananas.
That would be
That man
crazy.
right there is handsome.
Well,
smart.
It's a good picture.
Bet365 parlay, Gareth Wheeler's parlays coming up next, and that's a face only a mother could try.
No, don't you do it. Don't do it.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by General Mills. For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Turkey Farmers of Canada.
Canada are really pressing here. Oh, what a move. That is a quality ball. Now the run into the box.
Hey neighbor, meet Walmart Plus, the new membership that does delivery differently. I'm talking unlimited free same-day delivery, free shipping, and no order minimum. And it comes with a Crave subscription too. Yeah, it's like a 2-for-1. Try it free for 30 days. Walmart Plus.
Hey Vinny, is that your lucky song? That's too bad, because it's Tajon's too. And don't trust those lucky boots. They're not gonna score on their own. In soccer, the best don't run on rocket fuel. They run every single day. So believe in your sweat, and Gatorade will fuel it with a formula that rehydrates, replenishes, and refuels. Because when it matters most, trust what's inside. Is it in you?
We were there for your first game together. The day you taught him the rules. And the answer for every question. We've been there for the good times and a few moments we don't talk about. And now,
Who won the most Canadian Classics?
it's a passion you can share. And we're just happy we could be there. 20 years, and we're still growing. Together.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Samsung.
The futures markets, courtesy of Bet365. The market today was crazy. Crazy when it comes to the Golden Boot odds. Obviously, Lionel Messi set the stage last night with the hat trick, Kylian Mbappe with the brace, but Harry Kane stepped up and scored a brace of his own in England's victory over Croatia. He was plus 800 at the start of the day, now all the way down to plus 333. These are your top 6 players in terms of the Golden Boot odds from our good friends at Bet365. It's the last one, Balogun, that I think that you can find some value. Like, look, most likely, with all due respect to Erling Haaland, there are 2 more difficult group stage games, Norway, upcoming after playing Iraq in the first game. It's Messi, it's Mbappe, it's Kane. All 3 teams can go deep in this tournament, but at that number, you're making your wager against one of the other 2, which I'm in no position to do right now. So I recommend betting the number. Forlan Balogun for the United States in a soft group that can potentially get a preferential draw if they go in and win the group. The American striker might be a decent outsider. Just betting the number alone. There's no one else I can put in that mix right now, but the U.S., much easier games to come. So
all right,
that can mean good things.
When it comes to tomorrow, who is your TELUS player to watch, Jordan?
Julian Quinones. He already scored for Mexico, and look, I've been picking a lot of young players, but I just think specifically when you watch that match against South Africa, he scored that goal in the 9th minute as well. And I think about Jimenez, I think about certain Mexican players as well. Him down that flank, Andy, will just provide some service, and he's just so dynamic. So to run at players to go create something, I really like Mexico's chances. I know people are talking about the U.S. Obviously, we're covering Canada, but Mexico at this tournament as well, I'm feeling deep run. They could actually go the distance.
Well, they're in the easiest group in the tournament. Well, A and B are the 2 easiest groups. It's a big game tomorrow. Don't sleep on South Korea. This team is tactically proficient. They have star players. They can play at altitude. They have legs. Inbaum was the best player on the field. He's a former Vancouver Whitecaps player who's always quality when he's part of the Whitecaps. He was outstanding in the South Korean win against Czechia. It's going to be a great game tomorrow. Yeah. Winner wins the group. That's what it's about.
And also another game that we're all looking forward to and hoping it's going to be a great game for Canada will be Canada-Qatar, their second game in their group. Full 3 points will put the Canadians in the driver's seat and get them closer to what Jesse Marsch has said is their goal, which is to finish first in the group. They don't just want to move on. They want to finish first. And then, we'll be up right here with Bet365 for the win to break it all down.